Hey everyone, let's model an ear. I know a lot of people get freaked out about modeling ears because they're really complicated and they go in and out and over top of themselves and all that kind of jazz. So people get kind of freaky about it. But it's not too bad as long as you kind of keep calm and kind of understand what you want to be doing. Um, so let's go from there. I'll kind of show you my process of doing it, kind of how I like doing it too. So I model my ear just separately on its own. I attach it to the head later. I don't really worry about that for now. So I just found this ear here. It's nice and contrasty and curvy, kind of cartoony. It's missing the top part, but whatever. I don't really care. So I threw it up on a plane here. I'm going to just create another plane over top of it. And hit Alt-X to just kind of make it see-through. I'm going to make sure there's no length or width details on here. When you make it, it might have some of those, so I'm just going to keep it flat like that. I'm going to call it ear. And convert it to an edible poly. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to start cutting into this thing. It's going to get a little scary, a little bit complicated, but just bear with me. It's not that bad. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to get a general rough shape of this ear. So I'm going to start by attaching my cut to the outside of this edge here so 3D Max doesn't freak out too badly. So I'm just going to start just roughly shaping out what this ear looks like. Kind of trying to keep at a nice kind of interval of cuts. Alright, so let's do that, and then we'll go across down here. We'll just kind of give ourselves some space to work with. And we'll connect that there. Let's go through and delete the outside part. We're not going to need that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to try and follow some of these contours. We're going to follow this edge here from the inside and all the way outside here. We're going to kind of follow it along there. Right, just kind of like right through this chunk here. All right, we're going to follow that, and then we're going to loop back around onto this thing. All right, so let me just show you what we're going to do here. So you can take your go to your edge mode. You got to go to cut. We're going to start right inside here, so probably somewhere here where it's at its deepest. And I'm just going to start cutting. 3D Max is going to try and show you where it's going to connect to next. You kind of just ignore those as best you can. And I'm just going to cut along this. If you can, try and match up the verts that you had on the outside. If you can't, that's okay too. We'll add those in a little bit. So just something like that, and then in along this guy, and then just kind of out here somewhere for now. And then I'm just going to connect this as well. And something, oh god, what happened? Sometimes you have to undo. 3D Max may freak out on you. You might have to attach some things like that. It doesn't like cutting across open faces. Something like that. So kind of messy, but generally what we're looking for here. So I'm going to just start connecting some of these outside edges here. And you'll see we probably missed a few. I did an okay job kind of trying to match the amount here. Okay. So that's kind of sloppy here. Let me just take out a few of these. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of clean this up. Since we're here, I'm going to use my insert vertex just to insert some verts where I may have missed some. Right, again, like modeling the head or anything else, you don't want to add too many verts without knowing what you're going to be doing with them or actually adjusting them. So make sure as you add these things, you space them out nice and even. You know, make them work for you. Make sure you understand where they're going. Don't just be adding things for the sake of adding. Right? Alright, so generally that's what we want. We got nice quads on the outside now, except for this little area here, which that's okay. We'll kind of go from there. So let's take a look at what we can do here. Let's just cut something like this in. And just kind of get rid of that. We don't really need all that detail there because that's just going to connect to the head. Right, something like that. Even some of this could have probably done without for now, but that's all right. And then we have this guy. He's kind of going in here. We might actually want to add another, just to kind of smooth that out a little. There we go, and you can just ignore that line for now. We'll just remove that. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this square here and we're going to loop him back around and go through this area here, and this will help us kind of define some of the edges around here. So let's just do that. Make sure you save quite often, as cutting can cause a whole whack load of problems, which really sucks. So again, just trying to match up my verts here. Right, something like that. And this area is going to be kind of interesting what we're going to do with it. So we just kind of connect that to there for a second. So let's just clean this up here. Alright. So I missed a guy here, but you know what? That's okay. I'm actually just going to remove this for now. There's just a bit too much detail going on in there for now anyways. I'm going to say the same thing about that guy right there. Let me just spread some of this love around. Alright, so we have a quad there. See, nice quads, 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 everywhere quads. Alright, so now we have that. Let's just kind of do something with this area here. And so what we're actually going to do is we're going to cut along this area here, and along that, and along here. So let's figure out how we can make this work. So let's cut along here. I'm not really going to worry about the quad situation for now. And let's just connect that to there, and then maybe do something like that. Might want to add that detail over here. So I'm not really following along with some of my contours of the ear here, so I'm going to just adjust that. There we go, that's better. Might want to add an extra couple verts in here. There we go. Just wanted to quad that up there too. All right, and then we have this area here, so let's just clean this up a little. I don't like that guy there either, so let's do that, and then that might be too much. We just simplify this for ourselves. Sometimes when you go from an area of lots of detail to areas with little detail, having too many verts in there could just kind of mess you up trying to quad up everything. So sometimes it's good just to simplify a little. And then we're going to want, we kind of lost this edge here a little, so let's get some of that back. So let's do, okay, so we got a nice quad going up in there. Kind of like that. I like that going in there, but maybe we'll need to do some extra cuts in here. Maybe we'll just do that. No. Let me see. I kind of want this guy just to be a quad on his own. Alright, so that's a little better. We have this guy in here, which I don't like. What can we do with him? If we connect him there, and then I want to get rid of all of this detail. Yeah, there we go. We got some nice quads there. That's much better. I removed a bit too much detail earlier on. So there we go. So we have our general kind of shapes of the ear, and so hopefully you're kind of seeing where some of these things are going. So we can do a couple interesting things now. We can select some of these interior areas like this. Right? We can do that. We can extrude those inwards. I'm actually not happy with some of this detail here. What do we got going on? Outside. Right, so we can kind of take some of these areas, push them in, and then take some of these other areas and start pushing them out. And we can kind of slowly get the shape that we actually want. So I'm going to take, not all of that. I don't quite like how this is flowing. This should be connecting to that. So I might adjust this a little bit more because we want this guy to kind of flow with some of this over here. So let me see what I can do to make that happen. Actually, I think I took out a little too much detail there, so let me just step it back a little. We can add a little bit of detail right there. Oops. There we go, that's looking a little bit better of what I would actually like this to be. So we got this guy going over here, we might want to just connect him. We might not even need that because of this detail here. There you go, something like that. It's a little better. This area, actually, I do want it to be something along these lines. Yeah. So now let's see. There we go. That's much better. So that's kind of the area I want to sink in. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to extrude it inwards. And what I'm going to use the tool Outline to just bring it in a little bit. So there's in here under Edit Polygons, there's Outline. If you click on little settings beside it, by default it might be cranked up really high or low, which will look crazy. Just right click on the arrows, it'll bring it back to 0, and then you can do that. So what that'll do is it'll just scale all of your faces in like a really nice kind of like it'll scale them locally inwards. So we do that. So we got hit OK on that. Bring that in a little bit. And then what we can do is we can select this outside area here. We can extrude that outwards. Do a bit of an outline on that as well. And then we could just start adding some detail into here and moving some of this around to actually look like our ear. So depending on where we want you know, details and things like that to happen, we may want to push and pull some of these guys in and out. So like this area, for instance, we have a deep area in here. So we probably want to push some of that stuff in. And we could add Turbo Smooth, start seeing what our ear is looking like, and it's starting to look all right. It's starting to look like an ear. So I think a lot of it afterwards is just going to be smoothing out some of these features to actually look like an ear and getting the creases where we want them to be. So let's start doing some of that. So we can, you know, this area is very steep. We could actually probably just get rid of some of these details here. Oops. Right, keeping those quads like that. There we go. Get that nice and flowy. And then we're going to want to maybe pull some of these different details inwards, or start adding a couple extra edges and details and things like that in and out. So just spend some time pushing and pulling some of these guys in and out. All right, so any of these areas that do have a little bit of overlap, you can push them in a little. All right, let's start getting a bit of a tighter Right, if you're still not getting that nice detail that you want, you can start adding some more edges and things like that to try and get some of that detail in there. So let's see what we can do about that. So if we, oh, that's a crazy looking ring. See where it's trying to go. It's going up in here. Oh, okay. It's just doing a little too many rings. So why don't we just we'll have to manually do some of this stuff. Let's take a look at that ear. So let's see what's happening. So we have this area nicely comes smoothing across there. And then we have this area is going to be pretty deep, so we're going to want to deepen out some of these guys here. Right, always kind of looking, seeing what we can do to match that general ear kind of shape. Alright, so we got that. We got, there's supposed to be a nice ridge here, so we might want to add some polygons in here. So that's going to create some funky stuff here we're going to have to clean up, but at least this will give you some detail to drop down. Right, and it kind of flattens out or smooths out over here. It actually kind of comes back up. Right, so this area is smooth, so we might actually even want to get rid of some of these extra edges and bring it back down onto itself. Right, and we can find a nice way to quad these guys together. So for instance, we don't need all of this detail. Right, we'll clean that up in a little bit too. So then you have some nice quads, and then you have this five-sided shape here, so you're going to have to find a nice way to clean that up. Let's see, that probably won't really need to start doing any detail until somewhere around here. Oh, yeah, I guess that's that'll be down there. So a lot of the ear after this is just kind of finagling, cleaning, finding out where to put some of this detail here. Right, how to bring it back up to quads and things like that too. So let's say if we wanted to do that guy, so that's a triangle there, so we can always add some extra detail in here if we wanted to. Right, that way when it smooths we'll have some nicer details, more edges to play around with. Alright, so edges together will get you more creases when they mesh smooth. Turbo smooth or subdivide, however you like to call it. Alright, and so let's see here, we have all this detail, and where's my ear? So it kind of smooths out in here, so we're not going to really need all of that in there, so we can finally get rid of some of that. Remember, keep things simple wherever you can. Oh, look at that, we got some crazy edges going on in here. Might just collapse those guys down. Alright, we're starting to get a pretty decent ear going on in here. So we got some decent lines in there. Again, doesn't have to be overly detailed at this point. We'll do a lot of that in Mudbox, and all depends on how much detail you want for your character. Right, and so yeah, we got that. This area can kind of overlap a little bit more because we want that to be fairly tight there. Right, you don't want to be overlapping too much, as long as it makes sense. Right, this area you probably want to bubble out a little bit because that's the little thingy, the little guy there. And then this area is going to be nice and deep. You're probably going to need some more edges in there to kind of define some of those details. Right, so you're probably going to want like a nice edge going through here. Right, because that's all fairly tight. There we go. Right, and if you really want to get super deep in this hole, you can actually extrude some verts or some faces inwards to kind of get some of that really deep kind of feel to it. So if you even wanted to take, let's see where that would begin. So it'd be like right in here. So if you want to actually maybe flatten out some of these areas, like that, maybe push some of that in there. And then maybe I select these two guys and actually extrude them inwards. Should get a bit of a like an actual ear kind of canal in there. There we go. And we just got to clean up a couple of these areas here. So we got this earlobe. All right, we're going to want to connect this. This is all going to be connected to the head. We got this little guy going on in here. So we got quite a bit of detail going on right there without it really forming anything. So you want to clean that up a little. All right, maybe that gets connected. Alright, and you got some crazy stuff going on in here. You got some tries, so maybe we just ooh. There we go. Back to quads. Stylize my ear up a little bit because my guy is kind of has some elfish type ears. It's a cool thing about modeling from a photo. You get all your structure correct and all the kind of basics and critical items kind of look as they should and are believable, and then you can have some fun with the ear and just make it look however you like. So I'm probably going to need some more detail in this ear to kind of start pushing and pulling some of this. So I might just take these two, extrude them out a little. Might do some really weird stuff like that, so gotta clean that up. There we go, got some funky elf ears going on. You know, I don't know how much of it would be kind of just smooth skin, how much of this I would want to bring in up there. That's all kind of dependent on what I want this to be like. All up to you, of course, depending on what kind of ears you have, if you have ears at all on your character. Right, make sure you move around your verts so they're all nice and clean and smooth. Everything flows nicely. There we go. Got a nice elfish stylized kind of ear. You know, see what it's like. I can scale it in and out if I want it to be really deep or not. Right, some of this detail might be a little, you know, too boxy now. So, like, see that? That's just really gross and pinched and not very nice at all. So, make sure I clean that up. Looked pretty fine in the mesh smooth kind of version, but I wasn't really seeing what was going on. That's why it's dangerous to always work in the mesh smooth kind of view. If you're getting too much of this kind of looking stuff where it's just kind of squeezing or stretching or whatever, you might want to start adding some extra verts, clean some of it up, or find ways around it, right? You want it to still be nice and clean. There we are. And so I'm going to need a bit of a back to my ear as well, so just go through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the bridge modifier to kind of connect some of this stuff here. I'm going to take that off. So any two edges that I have selected, if I use bridge, it'll just kind of cap them like that. So I'm going to do that over here. Now if you start noticing that your ears are now kind of intersecting with the inside part, you're probably going to want to start pushing them out, making sure they're thick enough to kind of cover all that craziness. Right, you don't have to do the whole ear because we will be attaching it to the head. So there will definitely be parts that you will need some cuts around here of where it's going to attach and where it's not. Just kind of feel around in your own ear, kind of find out where those cuts are going to be happening, and maybe, you know, start figuring out some of that. But we'll kind of get to that as we attach it to the head. All right, so this will be my little dangly bit on my ear. And what I might want to do is I might want to just cut a couple of these guys right in half. Right, do something like that. And that way I could start bridging some of this stuff across. So when you bridge, it may not fully connect some of this stuff, so you might have to add a cut here and then just target weld your ears. So make sure you kind of understand what you're using and what it's doing to your mesh, and so you don't have any gaps or openings or anything like that. This guy could be thicker. The little hangy bits are usually kind of thick. Right, and so these are obviously not quads, so we're definitely going to want to quad these up, especially once we start attaching them to the head. And so we're probably going to want to just wrap them around themselves, which we'll do in a second. Connect that there, and I'll probably do some quads there. But I'm not going to worry about that right this moment, again, because I'm going to be attaching this to my head. Alright, so that's that. I'm going to delete my Turbo Smooth from here because I'm not going to need that for now. I'm going to take this, I'm going to use my Quick Align tool. If you click and hold on the Align tool here, you go to the one with the little Harry Potter lightning bolt. And what that'll do is when you have something selected, if you select something else, it'll just instantly align it to that. So you may notice my ear is ginormous, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on my side viewport, and I'm going to just mirror it. Right, I'm going to make sure it's facing the way I want, and I'm going to generally kind of place it where it should be. So I might just hide my hair for now, and let's take a look at my ear, and let's kind of try lining it up to my concept. My ear is a little small on the concept, and actually I made my model bend backwards, so I might want to bend that, or sorry, I made my concept bend backwards, but I made my model bend forward, so I might adjust that a little bit right now. There we are. Alright. So the other problem I have with my ear right now is that it's perfectly kind of straight, because I just modeled off a box, and obviously an ear is going to have like a nice kind of flow to it. So if we place this next to my head, this is going to look pretty boring. So I'm going to want to just bend this guy around. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to go to my modifier list, I'm going to apply FFD box, and this is going to just bring me some control points. And if I select this guy to be blue, I can select these control points and actually move my box out a little bit. Now, when you put an FFD box on there, it'll add a whole bunch of things, like a bunch of control points in the center that you really don't need. If you go to set number of points, if you get rid of the, I believe it's the height ones, it'll get rid of those ones in between, and then that way you'll have less things to work with. So less chance to screw up, make some mistakes, which is always nice. So kind of go through. FFD box will kind of warp your ear around, so it may mess up your model a little bit, so just be careful with it. Alright, we kind of get a feel and a shape for what you want. It might require you to rotate your ear around and kind of, you know, get it to where you want it to be. Something like that. It's pretty good. I'm going to select my head and my ear. I'm just going to go to right click and go hide unselected. I could also do that with this little light bulb down here called isolate selection toggle. It'll just hide everything but what you have selected, which is really nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under my editable poly stack here. I'm going to go to attach. I'm going to attach my ear, and that way it'll just bam, nicely attached to my head. Now by attached I mean it's just part of the same model and all that. If you select an element, it'll still be detached, which I mean for my character might not be that bad because we have hair kind of all around my character and all that, so he's not too bad. You probably won't notice the seams, but generally, you know, practice wise it's not a good thing to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach our ear to our head properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my my head here. I'm going to just delete that face right there. I'm probably going to need to delete a couple other things or move things around. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to figure out where to attach this ear to my head. So I've obviously, you know, it's only going to be in the areas that are open. So it's only going to be that polygon here. So I'm going to make sure, you know, not to try and attach anything over there. If I feel I have too many polygons to attach from my ear, I might want to just clean up some of this stuff. just before I attach, because the more things you have to attach, the the more problems they'll cause and things like that. So make sure you have just the polygons you need, like really need for your model. So really, take a look at your ear and really consider what you need that's sticking on the outside for your model. So let's find a good way to kind of connect this. Alright, so I did end up adding that back in there, but I feel that should be okay. Let's take a look at what we can do here. So you kind of go inside your head if you don't have your stack on. If you turn this stuff off, right? If you turn that off, you can actually kind of see inside your head, so you'll kind of be able to see, where your things are attaching and all that kind of jazz. So I'm going to try and just kind of adjust my head here. And I'm going to just target weld a couple of these guys to my ear. See if that screws up too many things. Alright, so that's kind of attached. We have this edge here that's kind of not attaching really well. And then we have all these really big polygons here. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to connect these two, target weld that there, and then connect these guys here. So I'm just going to readjust some of my flow here from my eyes so it kind of connects nicely. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ring these guys here, just attach them there. That way this kind of connects nicely to my ear, and then I'm getting a little bit more detail on the head for me to play with, because some of this stuff was a little basic. And it'll give me a bit of a chance to clean up my head. Now it is probably recommended that you do your ear and stuff like that before you do beards or other things like that, because it may change your poly flows. We'll see. Up to you. I left the ear part later because I know a lot of you aren't doing full humanoid kind of characters. But hey, there's nothing wrong with going back and just readjusting your model and making it look even better. So, and let's take a look. So the other one that we're missing here is this one. So I'm just gonna hit ring, connect, and then just target weld that to my ear. And I'm gonna do the same thing. Just readjust, clean that up. There we go. Made some adjustments. Now, let's see how that smooths, and this is kind of where the true test of this goes. Alright, it's looking pretty good. We got some nice smoothing going on there. Kind of connects nicely to the ear. There's enough detail back here that it's smoothing alright as well. You know, if we add a couple more, we'll kind of get to see what that's like. Alright, it's not bad. I didn't really check my scale too much before I added these, but those are pretty good. They're not the greatest ears, but I feel we'll make them a lot better in Mudbox. So let's just unhide everything and just hit this light bulb down here. Gonna go to unhide all as well. Might want to adjust my hair to kind of match my ears and things like that too. Did a pretty decent job kind of prepping my beard for ears. Alright, there we go. So we got my dude. He's starting to look a little bit like that guy. Go to the front. Yeah, ears are a little closer. My guy's head is just generally a little skinnier than my concept, but that's okay. I'm fine with that. And I'm kind of happy with how this guy looks. He's kind of generic for now, but whatevs. I think we'll make him a lot more interesting as time goes on. There we go. So that's ears. So yeah, they're complicated and they're kind of scary, but hopefully, hopefully you guys could have followed along with that. And again, it's all about the quads, about keeping things nice and simple, and just keeping that flow nice and flowy. And I can definitely still adjust some things on my ear here to make them look better. All right, again. So really, much like your head, take a look at your ears from all different directions. Make sure they flow nicely. And again, keep everything quads and you'll be okay. It's when you start adding too much crazy detail without kind of knowing what it's going to be used for is when you get in trouble. So there we go. We got our ears. We got our dude. I kind of like some of that cool stuff I got going on in the ears here. So I might readjust my ears before we take it to Mudbox to kind of match that. But that's our head. So again, next we'll be moving on to the body.